Alright guys, welcome back. This is the A-arms off of the 02ZR800. So you can see they're pretty nasty. I want to point out a couple things too, is that Arctic Cat, and I'm sure they did this to save money, they welded these gussets in the most structurally sound part, and on both sides. You know, it's good and everything, but they have this opening right here and right here. So you can see that those clearly let in a lot of moisture, salt, and frankly it just rusts out really quick. Everyone I've ever seen, they're all rusty like that. So what I do is once I clean them up, I hit them with the wire. I started to hit this one. I was like, you know what, I'm going to get these, I'm going to make a video about this just to tell my process here. So I take a knotted wire wheel on a 4.5-inch angle grinder, and I get the old paint off there, and I'm assuming it's powder coating. It's pretty tough. It'd take way too long to get off, even with, you know, sandblaster. So I just hit it with the wired, or the knotted wire wheel, and then I'll sandblast it. And then what I do here is I just go ahead and weld these in and fill those in. And like I said, I'm sure Arctic Cat did it to save money, because I mean, these welds right here, it's about 1.75 inches, well, maybe about 1.5 inches per weld. So you got 1.5 inches, 3, 4.5 inches, 6 inches. So that's 6 inches of, welding per A-arm, at least the lower control arm, so, or lower A-arm. So that's 12 inches per sled, you know, and it takes time to do it. Man, granted, it's not a lot of time, but yeah, I'm sure it saved them a pretty penny over the course of years and, you know, thousands of sleds. So, but, you know, that's where I make the improvement. So I'm going to go outside and hit these with the knotted wire wheel, and then I will be back and show you guys what they look like just before I sandblast them. Here are the A-arms. I got them all stripped. I actually stripped them last night before dinner, and it was late, so I just, you know, this is the next day. But so I got all the metal off. I got bit by the actually no, this is 2 days later, because yesterday I was outside all day working. We ended up tearing down our garden and stuff. Way in the back there, that's where all the dirt is. Anyways, so yeah, I got bit by the angle grinder. It had a knotted wire wheel on it, and I had one of these suckers out. It may have been, I don't know, it was sticking out either way like this, and I had the wire wheel, and I was holding it with my right hand and kind of guiding it with my left, and I had gloves on, and eye protection, ear protection, whole 9 yards. But stupid me, I had my mechanics gloves on, thinking, oh, you know, I'll be all right, you know, nothing ever happens. Well, the angle grinder got hungry. Just ripped right through it. Right through that, and then just popped me good. And it hurt at first for a second, and then the pain kind of went away, because your body, you know, releases a little bit of painkillers and stuff. And then later that night started burning. But each night I'll put, every night so far I've put antibiotic ointment on it, and then covered it with a Band-Aid. Neosporin, to be specific. So anyways, so I got these guys stripped down, and like I said, as you can see, there are pretty good gaps in between the ends of these gussets. So I seal that stuff up, especially before it gets too bad. If it was real bad on my 700, I ended up getting a set of A-arms that these were pretty rusty, and so I cut them off because they were so rusted that they were like they had holes through them. So I popped them off, flattened them out, grinded it, you know, all the weld off, flattened them out, and then used the best one of the 4 on those old ones or on the ones my 700 to use it as a stencil on some new sheet metal. and then I cut 4 out, bent them the best I could, and it turned out really good. I mean, they are, they're nice looking. They, I had them all sealed up on the ends. They look just like these, so good to go. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit these next. Well, actually, I'm going to sandblast these first, and then it'll get all the grime off there, especially around where I'm going to weld, and then I'll seal those up. But, I mean, there's little tiny bits, spots where I didn't get all the paint off, but no big deal. And then, unfortunately, when I was taking out, these came out of the ends of the upper control arms. No big deal there. They just need to be cleaned up and then greased and put back in once everything's powder coated and redone. I didn't have any problems with these. It doesn't look like any of the arms are bent. Just lay it down on a flat surface, and as long as they're both, as long as the surface is flat, which, this is flat, and there's no spaces, usually you'll see a space back on the back, because whenever someone hits something, it twists the spindle down at the bottom and twists it back, so it pops this up. And then the same thing on the control arms. It'll be popped up in the back, or on the lower control arms. So that one's good, and this one's good. And typically too is that if the upper control arms are good, if you don't see any bends, then it's a good chance that the lower control arms are the same way. And so that is the case. So we're good. That one looks let me see here. That looks like it might be a little. But if it's real minute, yeah, that's nothing to even worry about there. But I'll have to make sure that see what I didn't do is I didn't mark which ones were from the left or right, because the upper control arms are identical. The bottoms are not. So, I don't know. Worst case scenario, I just put them together and see which one fits the best. I mean, good grief. I can't see any difference between either of them. So, being that there's a little bit of space when you're putting them together, it might be this one. Yeah, I think it's this one right here. It's a smidge more on the left, which is the back. I mean, I'm talking like thousands. But yeah, it does look like it's tweaked a little more on, this one. That would make sense. So right here, because the bottom is going to have the most tweak to it, just because that's what gets hit, and it's almost like this is a pivot point. And so this twists so much, and this is a smaller area. It's going to twist. It's like the difference between, from here to here and from here to here. So, like if you had the pitch of a roof or just anything, the swing up or your pivot point, the further out you go, the greater the distance is going to be from the bottom to where the tip is. So, yep, that's that. Like I said, when I was taking it apart, I did break one of the bushings. But I think I may have another one of these, a couple of these somewhere. I got a box full of this stuff from other repairs and builds. And so, yeah, I should be good to go on that. So these are, they just need to be cleaned up. I'll wire wheel them and polish them and call it a day. But they typically clean up pretty good. I won't sandblast them though. So yeah, other than that, I will have to clean these guys. These guys are nasty. I'm assuming, I don't know what this stuff is. It's like putty. I mean, obviously it's supposed to, I'm assuming it's grease of some sort, but it's nasty. It's like I said, it's like putty. Super, super tacky, and it's real thick, like clay almost. So yeah, not too sure what happened there, but that's the bad. That's the one that's the worst. This one's not too bad. If I find these are loose, which you know what, I think I'm just gonna pop those out anyways. And I got a bunch of new Zerk fittings, so I'm gonna do like I did on my wife's sled, and I'm gonna go ahead and pop these out because these are just pop in. They're just the hole is drilled, and then they put it there and just bang it in, pop, pop, pop. And so there's no threads on them. And so in a couple spots, like on the skid, they would weld it, but these didn't. They didn't weld these. So I'll pull them out, drill the hole to the right size, and then tap it. And then I have a technique to where I put a little piece of shop towel down at the bottom, and that stops any of the stuff from any of the drill shavings from going in there, and the tap shavings from getting down in there. And then I just use a vacuum and suck it right out. So no problems. So yeah, these are gonna have to be cleaned a lot. I mean, these are just nasty, and that's spindles. They always are. But you know, and when you got a good grease, and you got to get a good grease gun. The grease gun tip, at least, is the major thing. Because if that doesn't lock on right, it's just gonna spew out the sides, and it's just gonna go everywhere. And that's why cleaning is so important too, because you can get grime, sand stuck in there, and then you go to, or it's on top of it from the last time you greased. Instead, you know, you got to wipe off the tip of the Zerk fitting too. So you wipe that all off so there's no grime on there, and then sand doesn't get on there. And then even go as far as wipe it off before you grease it again, and then grease it. And then if you don't do that, and you get a little tiny specks of sand or something in there, it'll push it right into there, and then it'll lock it. It'll lock the ball down, and just it just causes all kinds of problems. So just be clean, keep things clean, wipe it, grease it, wipe it again, you know, and you're good to go. So that'll be the next step, and I'll go ahead and get these sandblasted and powder coated. I don't know, I might show you guys some sandblasting. That's kind of boring. It's just, you know, I don't know. I don't know if I would enjoy that, so I don't know if I would put something like that in a video. So maybe like a few seconds of it or something. I don't know. So that's it. All right, I will go ahead and get these sandblasted, show you what they look like. And maybe I'll do some recording of some welding for you guys. I'm a DIY, taught myself. I went to weldingtipsandtricks.com. It's a gentleman, his name is Jody, and he is excellent at teaching, explaining, and he really does a good job. So yeah, definitely if you guys are looking into welding, haven't gotten into it, go check out his channel, Welding Tips and Tricks, I believe is exactly what it's called. And the guy's name's Jody. So if that's not the exact name of the channel, just look for a guy's name's Jody, and he'll explain it all to you, and then you'll find out what his channel name really is. So, but either way, yeah, I'll go ahead and get those sandblasted, and I'll be back. I'm back. I'm all set up. I got these A-arms sandblasted. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can catch some good video welding. This will be my first time trying to do this. And yes, I am doing it on the floor. I'm limited in space. I don't have a lot of room, so yeah. Call me ghetto. Gotta get it done though, right? That's looking good. Come on. Yeah, looks like it went through a little bit on that one. Slip it over and clean these welds up. Get a fresh set going up. And then I'll hit that other side. Let it cool down. Yeah, it would be a lot better to have a table, but that's what happens in a one-car garage. You gotta make do with what you got. This last little hole here, this will be done. Spot here. Last one. It's a thin spot up here. Gotta make sure it's completely sealed up. Alright, I think that'll do. So I think it sucks about using flux core is all the little beads everywhere. I'm not sure if you can see those, but that's it. Don't have to worry about any moisture getting in there. So, alright, I'm going to go ahead and do the other one, clean these up, and I'll be back. Alright, this is the last one here. Oh, alright, that's it. That's the second one. Oh, by the way, got my new gloves on. They are working great, by the way. They're actually loosening up a little too, which is good. They were pretty stiff when I first started using them. There we go. Looks good. All watertight. Ready to go. Alright, here's the upper A-arms. Turned out pretty good. I like it. I think they're going to look pretty nice. And then here's the one of the lowers. And getting ready to hit them with some acetone now. And then I think I'm going to, I don't know if I'm going to hold off till the morning because it's about 9 o'clock right now, so I think I'm just about done for the night. So I may actually wait till tomorrow to do this, and then first thing in the morning I'll go ahead and hit those with powder coat them, and then I'll go ahead and start taking care of these dirty suckers. Man, that's gonna be a pain. You know, I'd really like to find these decals. I mean, I think I mentioned this before. I could order them for like $140, but yeah, I'm running tight on money as it is. Not to mention, I found some other issues with the engine, so that's something I'll talk about when I put that together. So, all right, I think that's about it for tonight. And yeah, once I get things going in the morning, I'll go ahead and show you where I'm at and show you the finished product of both the upper and lower A-arms. All right, I'll be back. All right, guys, welcome back. Here's the finished A-arms. They turned out pretty good. I'm happy with them. It's not exactly like chrome, but I think it'll look pretty darn sweet on the sled. It'll set. It almost looks like a polished aluminum, which goes pretty well with the tunnel. So I'm happy with that. They do have other forms. I called Eastwood.com and spoke to them, and they do have another kind of chrome, but it's a little different. It's more chrome-like, but it does require a clear coat, because that's what I asked them, if it was okay to put a clear coat over this, and would it take away the reflective properties. And they said, yep, that if you put any clear coat over a base, it will typically take some of the shine away. So no big deal. I ended up taking the inserts as well, and I hit those with a thin coat of black, and that'll extend the life of those, and won't have to worry about rust on the outside of those. Even though there is water that gets in there, you know, that'll definitely protect it. So figured to do that, and getting ready to put these spindles in the oven. I ended up taking the decals off today. The first one was kind of messy. I ended up just using a heat gun and propped it up here in the vise and put a heat gun over here aiming at it, let it warm up for a little bit, and then just took a fresh razor blade and tried to peel it off there. And I got it all the way off. Took me a while. Got a couple of rips and cuts in it, but I was able to put it on a piece of paper. And then what I did with the other one is I ended up taking this one and sticking it in the oven at like 150 degrees. And then I pulled it up, but for 10 minutes. I pulled it out, let it cool off for a couple minutes, and then I hit it with the heat gun, set up again right here. And same exact spot, and that one came off a ton easier. So that's going to be my new method for that. But this is about down to the base paint or powder coat of the spindles. So I'm going to go ahead. I wiped off as much grease as I could, and I didn't want to get a lot of I'll probably pop these out too after, but I didn't want to get a lot of grease in my parts washer because when I initially got my parts washer, I didn't have a filter on it like this, a remote filter. So I used it and got a bunch of crap in there, and then I put this on afterwards, and I used that. It's PCS 1000 from Tractor Supply Center. It's got a flash point of like 141 degrees, so it doesn't evaporate like at all basically. So I ended up cleaning that out today, and I put 10 gallons of new in there, and stupid me, it's kind of cloudy because I forgot to take this cover off here, and when I took it off to get the thing to start siphoning, the pump to start siphoning again, it ended up getting a bunch of dirt or grime in there. But there was so much grime in here, it's ridiculous. But now it's definitely a lot cleaner. So like I said, I wanted to get as much grease out as I could so I didn't contaminate the new parts washing solvent. So I'm going to go ahead and slap these in here real quick and get those taken care of. And then I'll put them in here. I got it at 465. So what you do is you when you use the powder coat, you got to put it at 450 so it will flow out, and that heats up the part to where it's at the right temperature, and then it'll cause the powder to flow out, and once it flows out, the part is up to the right temperature, and then the powder itself will turn shiny, and it'll get that gloss look to it. So it's spreading out, and it fuses together. It starts fusing together, melting together at that point. And so once it gets to that point, you got to hit it with the digital. I got like a laser thermometer right here, this guy, and I'll just open the door and then hit it, and it'll get up to the if as long as it's up to the right temperature, then you kick it down to 400 degrees, and you let it sit for, at least this stuff, you let it sit for like 20 minutes. So, but yeah, and then you pull it out, let it cool for 20 minutes. You can put it, or cool down completely, and then you can put it back into service. But all right, so like I was saying, I'm not really going to wait till I put it back together. The issue I was talking about with the engine is this. So what happened was most likely, I was talking with a buddy, and basically it comes down to probably I didn't look at the power valve. Maybe I should have, but it could have been the power valve. Maybe nicked the PTO side cylinder piston. So it either hit the piston or the rings, and it caused, I don't know, it caused issues. And from that point forward, it just, I don't know. He said that it caused a lean condition, but I don't know if that would cause a lean condition like that. I mean, who knows? I mean, it could have just gotten to the point where the OEM pistons, I guess, and these have a tendency in the 800s, at least from the 01s and 02s, from what I understand and read and heard and have talked to people about, they have a tendency for the skirts to break on the piston. So that'll, even if a piece comes off, it'll just start banging around in there, and next thing you know, you got a bunch of chunks flying around. And I found chunks inside the combustion chamber stuck to the head, and like when it goes lean, it sets all these it puts all these oily particles of metal everywhere, and it's like a gray goop. And so I found that with a bunch of chunks, little tiny chunks of metal. So that was obviously the... I gotta set the timer on this real quick. Let's go with 25 minutes. That's 5 minutes over. Well, let's go with 28. It's 5 minutes over, 3 to 4 minutes actually over the time it'll be in the oven total. And it's 15 degrees over. So, because I started at 450, it was at 4. So anyways, what'll happen is the pieces will break off in here and they'll just get banged around, and what'll happen is the bottom of the connecting rod will slam into that stuff, and if it's a big enough piece, or if it hits it over and over enough, it'll punch holes in here, or it'll, like if you can see, that piece was ready to come out too. And it's a pretty common thing, because I was looking on Facebook and I found somebody else that had a bunch of ZR 800 parts, and they had cases, and both of these spots right here were repaired with a new piece of aluminum. They didn't paint it black. So they repaired it, and yeah, same exact spot. So that was the issue. And so let me see if I can take this off. Oh, I started... Well, I might be able to get it off here real quick. What I could do is set you up on the tripod. Let's do that. Sorry about the shaking around. Alright, so tripod. Let me see if I can get this set up. Alright, so grab my impact gun real quick. Just a little. All right. So it's got these pins that are kind of a pain in the tuchus. Let me grab a hammer real quick, and I'll show you the damage that all right. So there's a couple spots. I mean, obviously you can see the hole here. I mean, it's started to punch another hole in there. I mean, everything else looks fine. I guess the bearings weren't, chattering or anything like that. I heard that is often can be a symptom or an effect of the whole situation. Still low on room here. Let's see. Might be able to see it down here. Alright, so see that little piece right there? That is actually part of the piston. Look at this side. Let me get this guy off of here. Alright, so that side's all clean. It's kind of hard to... Well, you can see there's nothing there. Either way, it's clean all the way down. Both sides. There we go. Yeah, like that. So that's clean. And this side is clean for the most part. You can see particles though. So you can see that it was banging around. I mean, that case is... It looks like there's kind of almost a scrape mark right there, but then there's little tiny particles of metal everywhere. Now if you go to this side though, there we go. Okay. So see all that metal? That is not supposed to be there. So that was part of the piston skirt, like I was saying, that just got slammed in. I mean, I even found a piece stuck right here, which isn't a big deal because, I mean, the rest of it's good to go. But either way,